I'm Ian Head. I'm Dean of Research and Innovation for the Faculty of Science, Agriculture and Engineering at Newcastle University. Inevitable. I think we all face failure at some point, and I guess perhaps in the context of academia we're thinking about sort of failure in terms of a paper being rejected or a grant proposal not being funded, and the law of averages means that you're inevitably not going to be successful in every paper you submit. You're not going to be successful with every grant that you submit. So I guess part of it is it's part of the normal academic life, really. Strange. I try not to remember failures too much, but I would say there's one memorable grant proposal which was basically tackling a big problem in my field, which I thought was really fantastic, and I sent the proposal in. I'd spent weeks and weeks writing this, and I thought it was the best proposal I'd ever written, and I got the reviews back, and the reviewers thought it was the best proposal I'd ever written as well, so that was really fantastic. And then I got the notification that I hadn't been funded, so that was a disappointment. But what made it even more disappointing was about 6 months later, a colleague in another institution basically published the work that I was going to do, not because they'd sort of stolen anything, but because they had been working on the same idea and actually were just a little bit ahead of the curve. I guess you always have initially you have a negative response. Everyone has a negative response to failure, and it's part of dealing with failure is you need a bit of an opportunity to let off steam. And in this case, it would be, how could the panel be so sort of narrow-minded and silly, and how can not see the value of this? The reviewers all saw the value of this. So it was really a bit of I guess catharsis. Have a rant, sort of give nameless people a bit of a hard time, and then once you go over that, you can start to think about, okay, why didn't this go the way I wanted it to, and start to rethink your ideas. So yeah, sometimes it's harder than others when you think it's your best piece of work that has led to the failure. There are sometimes you know when you've not done as good a job, you've rushed to get something in, and there's an off chance that it might come off. But when you've not invested so much in it, then it's probably easier to take the failure. But when it's something you really care about, then the failure hurts that bit more, I think. I think part of it is really to take the feedback you get from failure and actually use that in a positive way. So I think that's really the best thing to do. It's therapeutic to have a rant, but also it's not very productive. You always get something that you learn from a failure, and the most important thing to do is to learn from your failure and use that to move forward and do something else. Everyone's unsuccessful at some point. It's normal. You shouldn't get dejected by it. By all means, be disappointed and unhappy that it's happened, but always learn from it. Always talk to someone else about it and help get a different perspective, so you can help to identify a route forward which will help you turn that failure into success. I think I've been very fortunate that I've always had really supportive colleagues around me, so from a very early stage of my academic career, and I think essentially they supported you and reassured you that the ideas that you had that had failed in whatever context were actually good ideas. They discuss it with you. They tell you that, you know what, sort of, you're always going to at some point going to fail at something, and if you don't, you're probably not trying hard enough. So I guess giving examples of where someone's had a failure and how they moved on and learned from it is, I think, really valuable. And I'm not sure there's that much more that you can do in terms of helping people cope mentally with failure, other than acknowledge that someone will be upset by it, that they're disappointed with it, and let them know that it's okay to fail, but also give them a positive example of how you've overcome failure. And I say I've been fortunate enough that the colleagues that I've worked with have always taken that approach, and I like to think that's the approach that I take when I try to support others. So there's probably there's not too many situations where you'll stand up in front of an audience talking to them about research and say, oh, by the way, you're going to be writing this fantastic grant proposal, but you've only got a 1 in 5 chance that you're going to get it. So I suppose we try to give a positive narrative and encourage people to submit grant applications, and so we probably don't dwell too much on it, which is actually probably a failing. in itself. But I suspect what we want to do is we want to have a forum where we're really sort of supporting people and energising them and really getting them excited about submitting research proposals and their best papers. But we probably need a different forum where we actually talk about, if you like, the hard reality. It's sort of, this is a tough game, and there's no shame when you don't win it every time. It's not the end of the world. It is always something where you can learn from it and you can move forward, and actually you can turn failures into successes, and I think everyone probably has examples of that, where they've used the feedback that they've received to reframe something, talk to colleagues, actually find out how they might have done it differently, how they might have presented their case differently, and use that really to I guess, increase your success in the future. I've got sort of three-word answer to it, sort of rant, reflect and rethink. 4 things: rant, red wine, reflect and rethink. I think what does it really is when you have colleagues who have failed on more than one occasion and you see how much of an impact that has on them. I think everyone can cope with an initial failure, but if you fail again and again, you begin to really lose faith in yourself. And when you see people like that you know are really good, are really talented, and have the potential still to succeed, that you really want to do something that can help support them. And I guess you do it with your own research group, for example, where someone has had a setback, and you can give very direct support to them. But I think that support really starts with making people aware that failing is normal, it's not the end of the world, and there are ways that you can move forward, and you don't have to move forward alone.